Hello, everyone. My name is Beryl Bender Birch, and I would like to thank you for joining me for Everyday Mindfulness, a series of guided meditations. I will begin with a short explanation on meditation in general, and then I'll say a little bit about each of the 3 different techniques that we're going to use on this CD. Each of the meditation methods that I have chosen comes from a slightly different tradition, but all are intended to lead you into a closer connection with the present moment, a greater awareness of self, and offer you a way to practice everyday mindfulness in everyday life. Practicing mindfulness is a way of simply learning to pay attention, not just in yoga class or when you sit for meditation, but all day, every day. Whether you are at work or at home, in bed or on the road, we're training ourselves to be present with whatever happens to be going on, wherever and whenever. Everyday mindfulness teaches us that life is life. It is the way it is. Nothing that happens is a mistake. It might be important to us whether we are comfortable or uncomfortable in any particular situation, but really, in the big picture, it's irrelevant. Learning to be present, to lean into what is, helps us to learn that things come and things go, and that is the way it is. That life is about change, endless change. The only immutable constant is divine consciousness, of which we are all a part. Our meditation practice helps us to find and re-identify ourselves with that which we truly are, that divine spark in each and every one of us. So we don't want to hold out for summer vacation, hoping that at some point in the future everything will be better and it will all work out. It's already worked out, and a lot can happen between now and then as we learn. So the only place we can ever really be is here and now, whether we are chopping carrots or designing a computer. Everyday mindfulness meditation helps us to conserve our energy and not to spend so much time trying to manipulate things around to the way we wish they would be. We slowly learn that this is it. There are no better moments. There are only moments. Everyday mindfulness is to be here in each moment as much of the time as possible, because that is where and only where life is truly lived. In the Ashtanga yoga tradition, which is the classical 8-limbed yoga path set down by Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras, which is the classic text on yoga written somewhere between 300 BC and 300 AD, meditation is referred to as dhyana and is the 7th limb of this 8-limbed methodology. In this tradition, it is customary to train in the preceding 2 limbs of asana, which is the practice of the yoga postures, and pranayama, which is generally practiced as breathing exercises and literally means energy control. The idea is that these bahiranga, or outer limbs, being more gross or tangible limbs, will lead one into the antaranga, or the inner limbs, which are a bit more subtle and intangible. In fact, Patanjali in the Yoga Sutras considers asana, the practice of the postures, to be an aid to and preparation for the practice of meditation, or dhyana. However, the Yoga Sutras also tell us that we can actually begin the study of yoga at any point on the limbs that we are inclined to begin. Some people are more drawn to asana, some to sitting and breathing, some to walking, some to scrubbing floors and singing the praises of God consciousness. Whichever method you are drawn to is more than likely an appropriate path for you to follow. Patanjali says that serenity of mind is achieved through the practice of concentration on a single object. And it doesn't really matter what that object is. It can be a subtle sense perception. It can be the supreme light within. It can be an experience from deep sleep or from dream sleep. Or it can be anything that you'd like it to be that is uplifting. This process is called samyama. Samyama is the continuous practice of the 3 Antaranga, the three inner limbs, dharana, which is concentration, dhyana, which is meditation, and samadhi, which is bliss or self-realization. Often, when people say they are meditating, what they are really doing is dharana, or concentration. This is the process of bringing the mind back over and over to attend to a chosen point of focus, whether it's the breath, a prayer, a visual picture or concept, or anything else. We direct the attention to one thing, our breath, let's say. We get distracted, maybe by something we hear or a thought that pops up. We go off. We realize that we are distracted. We come back to the breath. We go off again. We bring our attention back. We go off, and so on. This is the process of dharana, the process of bringing your attention in, getting distracted, and bringing it back. Once we can connect the attention to the object of attention and keep it there as a steady flow, the process then becomes meditation, or dhyana. You cannot force dhyana to happen. You have to simply allow it to descend upon you. Technically, I cannot really teach you to meditate. I can lead you, guide you, but you cannot really listen to this CD and actually meditate at the same time. Meditation is that continuous connection between the subject and the object of the meditation. What I am doing with the particular methods that I describe here is teaching you dharana, or concentration, a way to focus your mind using these techniques. This will hopefully lead you to the experience of meditation itself. To have the experience of meditation is really to have the experience of yoga, the cessation, if even for a moment, of the fluctuations or the vrittis of the mind. In the early 70s, I was living in California and working as a biofeedback researcher. I spent a great deal of time studying the physiology of meditation. The whole process of meditation is actually accompanied by a number of very real physiological changes. The pulse actually does slow down. The respiration slows, the muscles relax, the fight or flight syndrome can be quieted, the mind is just generally less busy, and thought diminishes. So the relaxation, the quieting, and the calming and energizing effect that you feel is very real. In groundbreaking studies like the work done by Herb Benson at Harvard on the physiology of meditation, the benefits have been well researched and well documented. Over time, the techniques that we work with here will become familiar enough so that you can eventually do them on your own without this CD. One or another of them may come to be more comfortable and more appropriate or more effective for you than the others, in which case I suggest you focus for your formal practice on that particular technique. From time to time, you may come back to use any or all of the techniques for a specific effect or to retrain your brain, so to speak. You can use the guided program to get reprogrammed and make sure you are on the right track. Every time you listen, you will gain a deeper understanding of the practice. The first guided meditation on this CD is a form of meditation called Japa yoga, or recitation in Sanskrit. It refers to the repetition of a holy mantra or sacred prayer as the focus point for the mind. Japa yoga is a very old practice and is used by all of the great religions of the world. According to Georg Feuerstein, the American yoga scholar, more than likely this practice evolved out of the meditative recitation of the sacred texts by the priests and religious leaders in ancient times. It required great concentration by the monk or priest conducting the ceremony, because every word had to be accurately pronounced so as not to adversely affect the sacramental ritual. Thus it became a tool for developing concentration, or what we explained as dharana in yoga, and was passed along to the laity as a stepping stone to dhyana, or meditation. Some mantras are only a few words, like the popular Roman Catholic prayer, Hail Mary, full of grace, or the Tibetan Buddhist Sanskrit mantra, Om Mani Padme Om. Others might be longer, like the Sanskrit Gayatri mantra, which is several sentences long. No matter what the prayer or mantra might be, the objective in this type of meditation is to repeat the phrase or grouping of words over and over again, either verbally or mentally. Often, the practitioner will begin by chanting the mantra out loud for a time, in order to establish a rhythm of sound for the mind to follow, and then entrain the sound internally. Other times, the mantra is not voiced, but is simply repeated over and over again mentally, going round and round like a tape loop. For our Japa meditation, I have chosen the simple mantra Om, one of the oldest and most sacred of all the mantras in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism alike. According to the Yoga Sutras, the word expressive of God is pranava, or the symbol of Om. The Hindu Vedas say that the name of Brahman, or absolute divine energy, is Om, and Om is Brahman itself. Om is the primordial sound, the cosmic vibration. It is often alluded to as pranava, which literally means humming. Om is the fundamental sound of the universe, and it's present in every aspect and every dimension of our cosmos. The sutras also recommend the recitation of the sacred syllable Om for the removal of all obstacles on the spiritual path. This practice, the sutras tell us, will lead naturally to the contemplation and understanding of the inner significance of this mantra. It's not enough to simply sit and say Om over and over again like a parrot. Mindless repetition of mantra has no desirable effect. Japa yoga must be performed with great attentiveness and reflection on its meaning. One more note on this mantra meditation method. Before I actually begin the guided mantra meditation itself, there will be a short introduction on how to actually chant the mantra Om for formal meditation practice as well as for everyday mindfulness. I use the Om method almost constantly throughout the day as a way to stay present, driving, brushing my teeth, riding on a sled behind my Siberian Huskies, getting out of a taxi, or walking on the beach. It helps to get centered, grounded, focused, and present. It's a great everyday mindfulness tool. The second meditation program we will practice on this CD is what I call conscious breathing. It is a simple and powerful technique that can be used for everyday mindfulness by almost anyone at any time to relax, recharge, or reconnect with the present moment. In this exercise, we learn to recognize and make friends with the incessant chatter of the mind that we call thought. The basic technique of this method was taught to me in California in the early 70s by Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche. Over the years, I have learned variations of this method from Thich Nhat Hanh, Pema Chodron, Charlotte Joko Beck, and Alan Watts, and all these wonderful teachers have influenced my own teaching of this simple technique. Conscious breathing is the process of just sitting comfortably and allowing the attention to rest on the out-breath, kind of like a bird rests on the branch of a tree after flying. It's a glorious way to relax, kind of like sliding into a warm, enveloping bath. The technique directs us to get our attention in present time by turning our focus to our breath. This, in turn, leads us to notice more quickly when we are not in the present moment, but rather are mentally drifting off to some distant time and place. It's this process of getting carried off that causes so much of the stress and anxiety in our lives and leads to stress-related illness and suffering. To recapture the essence of this moment is to live our lives fully, spending our days with what is, rather than frittering away our precious energy, worrying about what might be or what has long since passed us by. Conscious breathing is a great way to get grounded and centered. It gives us the opportunity to slow down and get in touch with just exactly what is, whatever that might be. Helps us to notice exactly what we're doing with our energy. As we sit, we start to realize that we can watch our thoughts as something apart from ourself, as we might watch a movie. We begin to notice when exactly it is that we are distracted from the object of our meditation, which in this case will be our breath. When we see a thought bubble up from the depths and pop up on the screen of our mind, we learn to recognize the thought as just thought, not good thought or bad thought, but just thought. We discover that we can pull our attention back from the past or the future and delightfully return to our breath and the present moment. This is an uncomplicated practice that prepares us for more advanced meditation techniques. However, it's not a practice just for beginners. Even those of us who have practiced meditation for 30 or 40 years can benefit from this technique simply because this kind of work is so important and so easy. The third meditation technique on this CD is a classic and absolutely wonderful Tibetan Buddhist technique called Tonglen, or sending and receiving. The groundwork for this technique actually comes from the second practice of conscious breathing and is a meditation technique I've used for many, many years in moments of fear, loneliness, anxiety, or discomfort. This is an extraordinary technique that involves breathing in pain or discomfort and breathing out pleasure and relief. The idea can sound a bit daunting and depressing at first, but it's actually an incredibly uplifting and empowering technique. It immediately works to expand our normally narrow and self-centered outlook and helps to take us beyond the limited scope of our own ego. As the other two techniques preceding it, and like most meditation techniques, this practice is what I call adaptogenic. In other words, it is capable of raising or lowering the energy levels, depending on what is required at any given moment. It can pick us up if we are too lethargic, or our energy is too, what's called in yoga, tamasic, which means inactive, or it can chill us out if we are too frenetic, or rajasic, which in yoga means active. Thus, these techniques can be used in time of feast or famine, drought or flood, scarcity or abundance, and illness or wellness. To prepare for any of these three techniques, it's important to select an environment with the least potential for distraction. This might mean that you close the door to your sitting room or meditation room, or turn off the phone before you begin. It's also important to be warm and comfortable, but this doesn't mean curled up on the couch under a blanket. Perhaps to stay warm, we place a cotton blanket or a throw around our shoulders. We don't want to fall asleep. We look to sit up straight with the chest lifted and the back held straight. This keeps the heart center open and receptive, and the spine unimpeded for the movement of energy. We hold a position of alertness, but at the same time we want to be relaxed. If we are in pain, we will not be able to keep our attention on the object of our meditation practice, whether it's the breath, a mantra, or any other point of focus. Just as in our asana practice, we look to find a place of poise between sthira and sukha, or steadiness and comfortableness, between hard and soft. So in meditation practice, it's important to find the balance between tension and ease. You may sit on a cushion on the floor or on a straight-back chair, but either way, make sure that the seat is flat and not tilting forward or backward or to one side or another. If you're sitting in a chair, make sure that your feet are flat on the floor. If you're sitting on the floor, sit with your legs crossed comfortably in front of you, in easy pose or in lotus position or any other sitting posture that is comfortable. Sit quietly with the spine erect. If you're in a chair, do not lean back. If you're sitting on the floor, it's also best to have your hips slightly higher than your knees. This might require placing an additional pillow under your buttocks to be more comfortable. Then you will close your eyes. Notice any little physical discomfort zones that might be taking your attention. Try to adjust them or work them out. You might want to first twist to one side and then the other, arch your back, squeeze the shoulder blades together, then round your back and stretch the shoulder blades apart. Then reset yourself and get comfortable again. Rest your hands, palms face up, on your knees, with your thumb and forefinger touching, or one hand upon the other in your lap, with the thumbs just touching. Relax your jaw so that the mouth is almost open, with the tongue resting just behind the back of the upper teeth. Notice any restlessness, and take a few minutes to settle in. This will be a general way that you begin all three of the following meditation practices. Remember, it is important to eventually pick a meditation that you like and that resonates with your spirit, and to then stick with it. While you might occasionally use one or the other of the other techniques for a specific situation, in general, jumping from technique to technique, looking for faster or better or further, will not really take you to the depth of possibility that the practice of meditation is designed to create. Meditation is designed to quiet the mind and reveal the depth of human potential that resides in the heart of the soul. It is my wish that these techniques will come to be faithful old friends for you as they have been for me. How to chant Om, preparation for Japa Yoga. In order to begin using the sacred mantra Om as a point of focus for our meditation, we need to learn how exactly to chant this mantra and use it as a meditation tool. Japa Yoga, as we've mentioned, can be practiced verbally or mentally. Thus, we have the choice today of chanting the Om out loud or simply repeating it mentally in our mind. If we're going to chant the Om verbally, the sound is going to be broken down into 4 parts: A, O, and what is called the anahata, or the sound that is beyond verbal pronunciation. Even if we wish to simply repeat the Om sound in our minds, it will be helpful to follow along here in order to learn the full expression of the pranava, or the universal sound of the Om. Learning the correct form of chanting mantra is a handy tool to have, whether in yoga class, in the shower, walking in the woods, or any time by yourself. Ah is the beginning. If you just hang your mouth open and make a sound, no matter what language you speak, it will most likely come out sounding as an ah sound. This is the first part of the Om, the ah sound. Hear it in your breath. If you like, open your mouth and let the sound come out on the exhalation. Ah. The sound comes from the throat, way in the back of the mouth. Try it if you like. Just open your mouth and hum the sound. Ah. Try it again. Ah. In the second part, the sound moves forward to the hard palate at the roof of the mouth, and the lips close to an O position. Let's try it. Ah. For the third part, the lips close and make the sound. Feel the buzzing vibration at your lips. Okay, let's try and put those 3 together now. Take a breath. Now, for the last part, throw the hum up into the nasal cavity in the middle of the head, so it vibrates in your skull like the buzzing of a bee. Let the sound finish there. When the verbal sound ends, there is still a vibration, a buzzing sound that is always in you. This is called the anahata, or that which is unstruck or unsounded. Practice this a few times. Try to give a quarter of your total effort to each of the 4 portions of pranava, or the humming of Om. Now let's try putting them all together. Take a breath. Whenever we chant Om, we're invoking God. Om is Ishvara, the omniscient teacher's teacher in yoga, the one who has known, who does know, and who will know everything. Om is the supreme Purusha, the Lord of Yoga, the basic vibration of universal consciousness. Om is the seed sound from which all other sounds manifest. Sutras 26 through 28 in Book 1 of the Yoga Sutras state that repetition of and reflection on the meaning of this symbol should be practiced, and its meaning will be revealed. This brings one-pointedness to the mind of the yogi. Om must be recited with an appropriate meditative frame of mind. Then will follow the attainment of inward-mindedness and the disappearance of the obstacles. Now, let us move to the actual practice of Japa Yoga, or the repetition of the sacred mantra Om. Japa Yoga, chanting the mantra Om. Come to a comfortable seated position. Sit with your spine straight and the chest lifted. Notice any little physical discomfort zones that might be taking your attention. Your knees, your back. See if you can shift your posture to become more comfortable. Then close your eyes. Rest your hands on the back of your knees or fold your hands in your lap. Then reset yourself and get comfortable again. Notice any restlessness. Take a few minutes to settle. Let any inner or outer physical distractions just fall away. At this very moment, there may be hundreds of thousands of beings around the world joining you in this meditation. Let yourself join into this circle of consciousness. The Om is the primordial sound, the fundamental reverberation of the universe. It is present in every aspect and every particle, every nanosecond of consciousness. In meditating on the Om, you are joining yourself to the cosmic vibration and to absolute divine universal energy. So sit with a noble heart and let yourself be worthy of this most auspicious time. Bring your attention to the surrounding environment. What is going on? Take notice. Do you hear noise? Voices? Perhaps rain is falling, or wind is blowing. Is it winter time? Or is it summer? Accept the sounds of the season as part of what is for this moment. Let them just be neutral, not good sounds or bad sounds, but just sounds. Now bring your attention in and let it settle on the breath for a few moments. Just inhaling and exhaling, rising and falling. Notice how the breath has changed since you have brought your attention to focus on it. It's almost impossible to bring our attention to the breath without changing it. See if you can keep your breath as normal as possible, and yet keep your attention focused on the breath. Inhale and exhale. Now let's prepare to actually begin to either mentally or verbally sound the mantra Om. Take a nice deep breath, breathing in through your nose and fill the lungs completely. Then open the mouth and run through the 4 parts of the Om, from the Ah at the back of the throat to the O in the middle of the mouth, to the sound at the lips, and then to the hum in your head. Let's do it together. Okay, deep breath, inhaling. Listen to the Om. Then inhale slowly, comfortably, and sound out the Om again. And again. Repeat this process over and over. Inhaling, exhaling the Om. If you are simply repeating the sound mentally, inhale, and then on your exhalation, let the Om sound begin. Coordinate your breathing with the mental sounding of Om, just as we do with the verbal sounding of the Om. Let the sound go round and round. Inhaling, exhaling Om. Inhaling again, exhaling Om. If you find that your attention has been distracted by a sound you may have just heard, just very gently bring your attention back to the sound of Om. Inhale, exhaling Om. Inhaling, exhaling. And again. Inhale, pause, exhale, Om. Inhale, pause, exhale, Om. Where is your attention now? Come back to the Om. Perhaps your focus on the chant has been interrupted by a thought that popped up. Simply bring your attention back once again to the mental repetition of Om. It's a little easier if you're actually chanting the Om to keep your attention on the sound. But if you're mentally repeating the sound over and over, letting it go round like a tape loop, keep bringing your attention back every time you get distracted. Establish a rhythm, a beat, as if you were listening to music. Inhaling, exhaling Om. Go round and round with the sounds as if it were on a tape loop. If you're chanting the Om verbally, project the sound out into the world. Imagine it going to the other side of the room. And again, projecting the sound to the other side of the room. Then send the sound out the window to the end of the street. Then perhaps on out to the edge of town. Keep projecting the sound out, coming from the very depths of your center, from the third and fourth chakras, from the solar plexus just above the navel to the center of your heart. Feel the power of your voice, projecting out farther and farther into the atmosphere, letting the sound go beyond our own atmosphere, breaking through the sound barrier, out into outer space. Passing the planets and suns, passing meteorites and stars and galaxies, let your sound dissolve into the sound of the Absolute. Inhale and exhale Om. Inhaling, exhaling Om. Where is your attention? Let yourself continue with this practice for as long as you like. Inhaling and exhaling Om. Then slowly begin to let the sound diminish and let the tape loop slow down until slowly the tape comes to an end, comes to a stop. And you hear the sound reverberating in your cells, in the environment around you, in your mind, in your heart. Slowly begin to bring your attention back to waking consciousness, becoming aware of your fingers, your toes, your body, and the way your body may feel. Slowly let movement enter into your return to waking consciousness. You might like to stretch or yawn, still keeping your eyes closed, maybe twisting to your right or to your left. And then when you're ready, very slowly begin to let the eyes open, perhaps only halfway at first, taking in just a little bit of the sights around you, letting the light slowly come in to your eyes. Then fully opening the eyes, gazing around you, returning to everyday mindfulness, the sound of the Om still with you and available to you every moment of the day to help you to focus, get grounded, get centered, relax, and be present with the divine spark that resides inside. Namaste. Conscious breathing, a simple pranayama technique. Come to a comfortable seated position and begin to settle. Take a few deep breaths and notice any physical discomfort that might be taking your attention, any little crumb or pinch or tweak that calls out to you. Maybe your shoulders feel a little tight. Maybe your tummy is growling. Notice these and make any adjustments in your posture necessary to come to physical tranquility. Shift around until you can work out any remaining kinks, and then settle again. Now begin to notice the surrounding environment. What is going on today? Take notice. Are you inside or are you outside? Are you in a city or are you in the country? Are the birds singing? Is someone showering? Is there noise? Traffic, perhaps? Do you hear neighbors? Voices talking? Allow yourself to listen objectively. Try not to judge the sounds as good sounds or bad sounds. Just listen. Let them be. Accept them as part of what is for this moment. Notice the smell of the room. Had you noticed the way the room smelled before bringing your attention to it? Quieting the mind is a wonderful way to sharpen our senses. What does the room smell like to you? Notice the feel of the air on your skin. Had you been aware of the air on your skin up until now? Is the air cooler than your skin, or is it warmer? Sit with this. Notice all the places that the air around you is touching your skin. Let yourself feel enveloped by the air. See now if you can pull your attention in slightly and listen to the inner environment. Feel the inner environment. What is going on there? What thoughts are taking your attention? Are you bored? Restless? Depressed? Excited? Rerunning an event from earlier in the day? Who or what is taking your attention? Don't try to suppress or judge your thoughts. Let them bubble up from the floor of the unconscious mind, and watch your thoughts as though they were leaves floating by on the surface of a river. As you sit on the banks of the river, watch them as they pass by, floating into view, traveling downstream, and floating out of view again. Now very gently bring your attention to your breath. The breath. Are you able to just watch the breath without changing it in any way? This is almost impossible to do. Noticing the breath makes it conscious and inevitably changes it in some way. So what is going on with the breath today? Is it high or is it low? Deep or shallow? Rapid or slow? Labored or effortless? Stressed or relaxed? Have you ever watched a cat watching a bird? Or watched a dog observing a squirrel? Watch your breath like that now for a few moments, as if it were the most interesting thing that you had ever seen. Now begin to rest the attention on the out-breath, just like that. Let the attention descend on the out-breath, like dry leaves flutter to the ground in autumn, settling on the breath like a blanket of leaves, gently falling and covering the breath. Inhale, relax, and exhale. Just let your attention touch down on the out-breath for a moment and then go. Inhale and exhale. Touch down and then go. Still feeling the air on your skin. When you breathe in, it's like a pause or a gap. It's a little break. Almost like a rising up, like a balloon lifting into the air. And then again, the attention floats down to cover the out-breath. Rising up, resting, floating down, resting. Nothing to force, no pushing, no struggle. You cannot force the attention onto the breath. You must simply allow it to rest there, like the air is simply there, touching you, holding you in every moment. Let your attention be like the air, gentle and effortless. Just relax as if you were falling toward sleep, but you do not fall asleep. Mind is alert and happy to rest on the breath. Inhale, relax, rising up, resting. Exhale, floating down, resting. Where is your attention now? perhaps you've been distracted by a thought and wandered off a bit, following the thought as a puppy follows a butterfly. Oh, you suddenly notice you're no longer resting on your out-breath. Don't get mad, don't judge, and don't try to suppress the thought. Simply recognize the thought as an old friend. Thinking, you say, and let the thought pass by. Again, we notice a thought. We simply acknowledge the thought. Ah, yes, we say, there is the mind again, my wonderful mind doing what it does best. Thinking. But now I wish to rest from thinking, rest on the breath. And again, bring the attention to touch the out-breath, and then let it go. And again touch, and again let go. Inhale and exhale. Again let go, and again touch. Where is your attention now? Thinking. Every time the mind drifts off and you lose contact with the out-breath, you catch yourself in thought, simply say to yourself in your mind's voice, thinking, and again, come back to the exhalation. Inhale, float. Exhale, settle. Notice the sounds that may come to you from your environment. What are you hearing now? Still, the outside world is present. Inhale, float. Exhale, settle. The air on your skin is so present, so complete. Thinking. Just return to the breath. There is nothing to do except to wait for the next out breath. As that breath dissolves, we just wait again for the next moment, the next breath. Let the shoulders relax. Let the tension dissolve from the body. Exhale and settle. Let tightness give way to buoyancy. Inhale, float. Exhale and settle. Inhale, float. Exhale, settle. Thinking. Bring your attention to return to the out-breath. Inhale, nothing to do, float. Exhale, the attention settles. Conscious breathing. Inhale, float. Exhale, settle. The sounds around you, the air on your skin, the awareness in your knee or your foot. Everyday mindfulness, right here, right now. Inhale, float. exhale, settle. Slowly now, begin your return journey to waking consciousness. Allow the gates to open to the outside world, gradually bringing it back fully, so that your attention expands out to include all of the room around you, the space around you, the sounds around you. Gently, quietly, the effortless effort to attend to the breath falls away. The attention begins to expand out, hearing, sensing, smelling, slowly returning to full wakefulness. Begin gradually to move, twisting lightly first to the right and then to the left. Begin to open your eyes, perhaps only halfway at first, letting the outside world return slowly. Then fully taking in the light and the space around you. At a leisurely pace, return to the world you left. Smile. Let yourself feel good about yourself. Say thank you. Be grateful for this time, and this time that you have given to yourself, and for all that you have. Carry this awareness with you for the rest of the day. Namaste. Tonglen, the Tibetan Buddhist practice of sending and receiving. Come to a comfortable seated position and begin to settle. Take a few deep breaths and notice any physical discomfort that might be taking your attention. Any little tightness in the knee, or distress in your back or shoulder. Make any adjustments necessary in your posture to come to physical tranquility. And then settle again. See if you can work out any physical distractions that might take your attention off your meditation practice. Begin to notice the surrounding environment. What's going on today? What sounds come to you from the world outside? Try not to judge the sounds as good sounds or bad sounds. Just let them be neutral, just sounds. Whether you hear sirens or bird songs, acknowledge them, let them be. Now bring your attention to your breath for a few moments. as you did in the practice of conscious breathing. The practice of Tonglen is the practice of sending and receiving, of breathing in pain or discomfort or distress, and breathing out relief. Begin by focusing on something in your own life that is painful. Perhaps a loss, perhaps an injury or illness, perhaps something small like a minor physical injury, or perhaps an embarrassment or a memory of something painful we endured. As you sit, attempt to quiet your mind and attend to this discomfort. See if you can get in touch with it. See if you can recreate the feeling. Perhaps it is something enormous, like the death of a loved one or the loss of our home through fire or hurricane. Instead of running away from the feeling of pain and hopelessness and pretending it isn't there, which is what we normally do in life, in the practice of Tonglen, we do the opposite. We allow our attention to settle on that very discomfort and try to breathe it in. This is an extraordinary thing. We breathe out comfort and relief. Once again, focus your attention on whatever it is you have selected as your discomfort and breathe it in. Breathe in the tightness, breathe in the constriction, breathe in the pain of that experience. As you breathe in the headache, or the past insult, or the abuse, or the loss, imagine some kind of transformational circuitry. Imagine that this headache, or this insult, or this loss goes through the circuitry and is flipped upside down. Imagine it reverses direction, and simply turn the discomfort over to the other side. Whatever way it happens for you, allow the polarity of the experience to reverse itself. And then breathe out relief. Breathe out spaciousness. Breathe out comfort, as in the moment that your headache begins to subside, or the moment the pain drops for even a moment. Breathe in the tightness, breathe out relief. Slowly, breath by breath, we inhale the fear, then exhale the release of fear. Inhale contraction, exhale expansion. We breathe in the grasping and the limitation. We breathe out letting go and limitlessness. And slowly we begin to loosen our grip on our pain, breathing in and breathing out. Now let us begin to expand our circle of compassion to include someone else suffering the same pain. We mentally reach out to someone else. Perhaps it's someone we know, perhaps not. And now we breathe in their pain as well as our own, their loss, their suffering. And we breathe out relief and the subsiding of pain, and we send that relief to this person we have included in our circle. Breathe in the pain, the loss for both of you, and breathe out relief. Breathe in loss, breathe out fullness. Breathe in scarcity and breathe out abundance. As we go deeper into the method, we keep expanding our circle of compassion until we take in all living beings everywhere. We breathe in suffering of all beings, experiencing the same pain. We breathe in the tragedy, we breathe out light. We breathe in the claustrophobic fear, for example, of earthquake victims, or people alone and sick in hospitals, or the victims of war or abuse or anything you can think of. And then as you feel your pain, their pain, all pain, breathe out liberation and space and freedom from suffering. Reaching out to all beings everywhere. Breathing in pain, breathing out freedom from suffering. We breathe in that which chokes us, scares us, paralyzes us, and breathe out spaciousness, connection, comfortableness, and movement. And slowly the grip of our pain releases. We begin to loosen up a bit. Space enters. Time passes. The healing begins. Our protective shield that we have constructed to protect ourselves softens, and we open. We begin to melt, and the pain subsides. We imagine that we are breathing out light to encircle the entire universe, breathing out light to all beings everywhere, connecting with life in every corner of the universe. And we begin to heal, and those around us begin to heal. And we send healing energy out into the world, sending and receiving, transforming pain into freedom from suffering. Slowly begin now to allow your breathing to return to normal, feeling relaxed and refreshed, feeling as if the healing process for you and those around you has already begun. And the painful energy of fear or loss or criticism has been transformed to a positive light of compassion. Slowly begin to let your attention return to the outside world and full waking consciousness, beginning to move your fingers or toes, having a stretch or a yawn, arching the back, rounding the back, taking a deep breath and slowly beginning to open your eyes, returning to this beautiful world around us. Smile. Feel grateful for all that you have. May all beings be healthy. May all beings be happy. May all beings be free from suffering. And may you just go straight, only don't know. Namaste.